to attend today as we look at Leadership Summit 2026, right? And I'm joined by a number of individuals. You'll see Katrina Panzini, Dr. Maria Church, and Carrie Winter are all joining me today to kind of talk to you all, really have a conversation about Leadership Summit. And for me, this is an exciting event, right? This is our flagship, right, Carrie? Our flagship summit leadership event happens every year around the end of February. And what I think makes it special is it's a smaller setting, right? The in total we're probably about 350, 400 people. The It brings together a number of leadership programs, and I'll get into that in a minute. But it allows us to really connect at a more personal level, and people have really enjoyed that in the past. So we're going to spend some time going through the detail on Leadership Summit. I know a couple of you may have be part of the EDGE program that registered for the webinar, which is great. Glad to have you. That program kicks off in a couple weeks. So you'll get, an overview of Summit from this session, but we're going to spend quite a bit of time going into the Impact program, which again is meant for our mid to senior leaders. So with that, I'm going to jump in. I'm going to share, Jeff, if I can get this to dial in. You should be seeing my desktop.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to kind of jump in here and kind of get us started with a little bit of background on the summit. I specifically want to start with, the overall leadership experience that you'll see from Summit. As I mentioned, it brings in 3 programs, and this is sometimes a little confusing to people as they go and register, but we'll kind of make that a little bit clearer now. But we do bring 3 programs together. They're very specific programs, each with their own focus. So we bring the EDGE program together. This program is designed for our emerging leaders, right? They'll spend 5 months together in that program. It's a smaller program. It's an application-based program. That has all taken place. We have everybody ready to go. There's about 45. We'll take up between 45 and 50 people will attend that program over 5 months. They're all in place. They will kick off in about 2 weeks. The program will start. They'll meet virtually for the months leading up to Summit. We'll all come together in February. They'll spend a lot of time hands-on during Summit. But I think what's nice is that they'll be joining us, all 3 groups, at certain points in time, right? Because connection is important, as important as the learning experience for Summit. This gives you a way to connect with more mid to senior leaders, leaders of our chapters, to really form those career-long, lifelong connections that will be important to you. So that's the EDGE group, okay, already kind of dialed in and ready to go. Then we have the Academy, and that's our chapter academy. And that's a group, Carrie, of about 80 to 100 chapter leaders from our different chapters around the country in Canada. And they come together and they're really focused in on how do you lead a chapter, right? That's an important effort, and it takes specific skills for that. So they're spending that 2.5 days really looking at how to lead the chapters, how to manage a chapter, how to grow the chapter, and things like that. So you're seeing very specific topics for each of those cohorts. Now for us, and many of you on the phone, it's really the impact program that you're going to want to zero in on. So as you're trying to, and I know many of you that are joining us haven't registered yet, and maybe, hopefully are just kind of on that fence. Is it right for me to attend Summit or not at this time? This is what we want to be able to talk to you about the program so that you can make that educated decision but I think you will find it a great program to attend. So we'll have time to answer any of your questions to make sure you feel comfortable in making that decision. But impact is really for our mid to senior level leaders, right? This is an opportunity for this group, about 200 people, to get together in a very small, safe environment to have deep dive discussions, right? You'll go into deep learning discussions, but you'll also have an opportunity. The big focus, and you'll hear from Dr. Church, the focus is on moving you out of your comfort zone, being able to have conversation and address challenges with your peer groups into these interactive spaces. But it's really a great opportunity for you to dive deep into topics that are impacting really leaders across all business sectors, right? We focus on public procurement, but these leadership topics that we talk about go and span globally across all areas. So that gives you kind of an idea on the overarching summit experience. This year, we're excited to be in Tucson, Arizona, so a little bit warmer than if you joined us in the past. We were first in St. Louis, a little chilly, and we headed to Houston, warmer, and then back to Chicago for windy and chilly, but nice. You know, it worked nice, but Carrie was able to get us into Tucson, Arizona. Beautiful setting. This is something we've been wanting to do because not only the learning is important, the environment and surroundings are critical, right? One of the things that I heard from leaders today is they're tired, right? It's a lot of work on you all, right? And so, you know, we'll be talking about burnout and things like that, but we wanted to make sure you're just not running from one class to another and sitting in class all day long nonstop. We want to have breaks. We want to have a relaxed environment, really take advantage of the outdoor setting and really benefit from that experience. So it's a great place to kind of recharge. You know, we talk about recharge, well, recharge your leadership, you know, and reignite. Really just take a break and breathe for a little bit. So you'll have a lot of fun out there as well during the process. So just to pause just for a second, any questions on the overarching experience with the three programs? Anything in Dr. Church, Carrie, Katrina, please chime in. But any clarifications that's needed on there? We often get questions of like, I don't know what program I should go into, but really for most of you, if not all of you on the program, it's really the impact one that you're going to want to zero in on. That's really the one we're focusing on.
Yeah, Todd, I had two things that I just quickly wrote down. Um, First of all, last year in Chicago was not chilly. It was bone chilling. Um, when I got off the plane, now, granted, I am from Arizona. When I got off the plane, I really thought my eyeballs were going to freeze in my face. You know, I had the scarf on, I had the multiple layers, but I just didn't anticipate the eye freezing. So yeah, it was bone chillingly cold. And so, of course, this weather experience will be completely different. I see Susan's like, yeah, it was super cold. I agree. The second thing that I just wanted to put an exclamation point on is the relaxed vibe with this. Now, that doesn't mean we're not going to work. We're going to work. We're going to have fun doing it, but really, and very intentionally and very mindfully, as we've been all collectively putting this program together, it really is designed in many ways for you to luxuriate in conversation, luxuriate in the workshops, to really take that deep dive into, again, the conversation of the content, and playing with the content. And then also to really luxuriate in the relationships. And, I'm just thrilled when we see, especially the impact coming back year after year, for a renewed experience to really luxuriate in the relationship building that organically occurs. And so I would just add the word, yes, we're going to recharge. Yes, we're going to rejuvenate, which is fantastic. We're also going to luxuriate in some of these aspects as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Dr. Church. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a great point. And Carrie has guaranteed that the weather will be perfect for us. So you don't have to worry about that. She's got that.
Well, I will say, I will correct you that it's Marlena Blugin who got us to Utah, not me, and I'll give her credit for that. And now, therefore, she has to promise the
There
weather
you go.
be good.
Yeah. Thanks, Carrie. And I did see, and I know you answered it in the chat. Yes,
Right.
we do try to cross and integrate the programs throughout the session. You'll see in a minute. You know, we have breakfast together, and then we'll have keynotes every morning that we're all together. We'll eat lunch together. We have some programming together, and then dinners will be all together because you're a little bit away from downtown. I've not been there, downtown Tucson, so we're keeping you
Right.
all on property, which again is a beautiful property. So we have plenty of time to be together and have conversation across those groups. But to take a look a little bit deeper on the actual impact experience, this is where I want to kind of chat a little bit with Dr. Church in this area. So we spend a lot of time designing the program. So even once we come out of our past experience, we do a lot of surveys. I surveyed over 4,000 of our leaders in NIGP membership on what they forecast their needs are and their challenges for the coming year. We look at global leadership data. We also, Dr. Church, looked at your data on leadership and what it entails. So we're collecting all of this information to really determine, you know, what are the topics we want to address each year. And it's these four that we're going to be exploring in 2026. So we're going to take a look at trust and influence. And we're going to look at resilient leadership, especially in today's world, right? When, you know, we're kind of tired. How are you going to be resilient? You know, people first. How do you build and sustain that high performing team? So those are the topics. And then we're trying something new this year is we're going to try an innovation lab, and we will bring all participants together during this hour or 2 hours. Um, you know, how do we design the future of public procurement? How do you get into that innovative mindset? How do you get into that thinking in order to grow the public procurement space? So those are the topics. But Dr. Church, you know, you facilitated last year and your team, and we had a great experience. But I want to spend some time, you know, just kind of talking with you about um, these sessions just to see if we can get a little bit more information for, you know, those that are participating today can really understand. Yeah, that's the topic I need. You know,
Yeah.
we have expanded the workshops quite a bit. We're now 3 hour workshops. This time we have 4 workshops. So really an opportunity to go deeper into the content and discussions. But um, you know, last year, great experience. We're a little in a warmer climate this year, but um, what differs this year, and what are you looking forward to? Just
Oh, yeah.
overarching.
Well, of course, not only the weather, that aside, really one of the things that I'm looking for, and I'm going to start at the big picture. I'm going to start at 40,000 foot level and then go a little bit deeper on my answer on that one. I'm really looking forward to the setting. I've lived in Arizona for many years. I've lived at the base of these mountains, these beautiful Catalina mountains, that we're going to be surrounded by in this experience. And you know, there's something quite magical, maybe even mystical, about the Arizona mountains. And I've always said that once you get the mountains in your blood, they always call you home. And And we're all going to find that home when we're there. And that home is going to be really our center. And that home is going to be ourselves, our mindfulness, ourselves as humans, ourselves as leaders. And so I'm excited for us to just really experience that home feeling when it comes to who we are as leaders and as human beings. So that is absolutely 100% going to be a different experience than what we had in Chicago. And let's not lie, we had an amazing experience in Chicago. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of growth. There were some great relationships that were nurtured and some that just began. The content was solid and really spoke to our leaders and where they were at that moment, just as this program is going to speak to where our leaders are today throughout the country. And I completely agree with you, Todd. We work with local and state governments, and we are finding that these are really, really hot topics and challenges and a desire to renew for our leaders across the local gov and the state gov space um, across the board. And of course, most certainly in procurement. Across the board, though, to our colleagues in budget and finance
Yeah.
and so on and so forth. When it comes to trust and influence, and so excited, we'll talk a moment about our facilitators, but so excited to bring Dr. Pierce on board for this summit this year, who's been a part of our team for a little while. Um, the trust and influence is unfortunately has been and continues to be a real challenge, especially in local gov and state gov. And we've just, for years and years, we really, I guess luxuriate is my word for the day. We really enjoyed and luxuriated in the distinction between the different levels of government in the country. So, federal government was its own entity, state was its own entity, local city, county, towns were their own entity, and there was a real distinction in the public's eyes around these different levels of government. And we enjoyed those for many, many years. And over the last several years, we have been sort of lumped into one group in many locations. And so that's been a challenge for us because our constituents, our communities don't understand sometimes exactly what those distinctions are. And what we're able to do as public servants in our respective areas, but unfortunately, when we're seeing trust, perhaps at the national level, being challenged, we're also feeling that now at the local level. And unfortunately, our data, as well as other data, are supporting that challenge that we're feeling with lack of trust. So we've been doing studies now for 4 years. Just recently published at the beginning of the year, our latest study. And we found that, and our study was specifically, Todd, on the leadership pipeline in local government. So really focused on how healthy are we with bringing our leaders up and on board and being, ready now leaders for when we need them. And what we found is that 65% of our respondents, and our respondents were senior leader positions, so department director and above, all the way up to and through city and county managers. And 65% of our respondents identified increasing public trust issues.
Mm.
So we're all feeling that. We know
Yep.
that's an issue. Um, 59% are finding talent retention struggles as well. But staying on trust, Edelman, and many of us know the Edelman Trust Barometer. We look forward to their data every year as well. Edelman in 2025, so this year, 69% globally. We have found that government officials, the belief is that government officials are deliberately misleading them.
Hmm.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's staggering, 69% globally. So heavy, heavy lack of trust. And so I'm really thrilled that we're going to have that trust focus. And tying that with ethics, of course, because that goes hand in hand. Two sides of the same coin, so to speak, right? But, as a leader, how do we then address that elephant in the room, right, of lack of trust? And then how do we help to move that needle? At the very least in our circle, but probably more of a ripple effect. Because if we can affect our circle of influence, then how can we then have that bleed out into the organization as a whole, and then ultimately out into our communities that we serve? So I'm
Well,
so excited about that workshop, and it's really, really necessary, I think, today more than ever. Our next leadership workshop is really resilient leadership. And, you know, I don't think we've fully normalized and found our quote unquote normal rhythm even since COVID. So we're like 5 years now post that. But there's just so much uncertainty in our environment today, and not just in our work environment, but just nationwide and globally. And the uncertainty is everything from the economy, politically. Um, uh, just the vibe, I mean, AI, the technology, I mean, there's just so much and so many things happening at such a rapid pace that it's sometimes hard to just catch our breath, let alone really maintain that level of resilience that is necessary for us to function, not just as leaders but just as humans, right? um,
yeah, and I know, right, Dr. Church, we were talking, I mean, that's one of the big things we want to do is, we heard people are tired, right? They're
yes,
it's a lot of work. They need time to catch. And, as a leader, you can't be your top of game if, we'll say self-care, you're not, growing on yourself. It's hard to then turn and lead,
right.
your people when you're not fully dialed in. So I know we're going to be spending
When you're
time,
exhausted,
right,
right?
in
When
that.
you're exhausted, yeah, it's challenging. And that's another thing. Like, I think our timing for being at the base of the Catalina Mountains in Arizona is just going to be so giving and serving of that catching our breath. It really is.
which,
Good choice, Carrie. Way to go.
which,
Way to negotiate that.
which kind of leads us into, building and sustaining high performing
Oh
teams.
my
That's
gosh.
why we're in leadership, is to make,
Mhm. Mhm.
make the our teams and our people successful. So I know we're going to be spending, you know, again, a workshop focused in that world.
Yeah, and that's something as leaders, we always want that high performing team. And we're continued to be challenged with engagement. And how can we
Yeah,
be high performing if we're not all in?
yeah,
Right? And that's what engagement is we're all in. We're not just butts and seats, as they say in the restaurant industry, right? Or empty suits. We want minds, hearts, everything. We want the whole person fully engaged. Gallup, of course, does the engagement studies, right? And unfortunately, that's not moving. I mean,
no,
we're
no,
still only seeing like roughly 30% engaged. I
yeah,
mean, 70% disengaged. These are people that are showing up day in and day out that are not fully giving of themselves. Well, if we're not fully giving of ourselves, how in the heck can we have a high performing team?
right.
So yeah, timing for this is perfect, as it needs to be. So yeah, I think that these workshops are so important for us as leaders, our leaders in procurement and our leaders in the organization. And so I love the fact, Todd, that y'all had the foresight to take us into 3 hours. So again, we can really
Hmm.
deep dive, luxuriate in those conversations, try on some of the strategies, right? Play with the strategies, and just really leave feeling empowered in those particular areas. And then the innovation lab. Oh my gosh, when we're bringing everybody together, I'm so excited about this. This is going to be an opportunity to take a real life challenge or opportunity and really flesh that out. And we're toying with something that is potentially going to be very near and dear to all of the NIGP membership's hearts. And that's all I'm going to say on that. But there's something that is going to be so relevant that we're going to work with in this innovation lab, and actually take you through this process, and that you're going to be able then, as leaders in your organization, you're going to be able to take back and take that same process with your team. You're going to be able to rinse and repeat that process when you're either looking at troubleshooting challenges or looking at opportunities, and how can you seize those opportunities. So this is going to be a fantastic experience, and I'm really excited that we all get to do that together too, with the other cohorts as well.
And that's a big point, right? When you come um, to the summit, right, what you'll experience is a workshop environment, right? We want you to kind of roll up your sleeves, be actively involved, right? Because you're all experts too, right? So we want to be able to share your experiences and be able to interact. You won't really find 3 hours of lecture and kind of sitting, having
Absolutely
this
not.
experience kind of given to you. You're gonna, what the saying, like the old, we're gonna move the cheese, right? And we're gonna move it around and create again a safe environment, but we do want to move you out of a comfort zone because that's how we learn and grow. So again,
How we roll.
that's right. So this gives you kind of a feel on what you're um, gonna um, gonna see at Summit. But you know, Dr. Church, just kind of, I'm just trying to keep an eye on our time. But from a facilitator's perspective, again, you're going to facilitate the overall experience for everybody. But I know you're bringing with you this year an expanded crew. Can
Yes.
you just give us a little bit of oversight? Just give
Absolutely.
us
I'm so
your
excited, Todd, to introduce y'all to some of our other team members that you didn't have the opportunity to meet last year. It's the best of both worlds. So those of you that are returning, you're going to see some familiar faces, right? Trish Cordes is going to be there. In fact, she's going to be facilitating our innovation lab. May Sinclair is coming back, and she's so excited to see you all again. And so it's just going to be fun. Again, those relationships that we started building with you, we get to nurture with you, and we get to nurture with you in Tucson, where our eyeballs won't freeze out of our heads. So it'll be a fun experience. And then we're bringing on two, I mean, just amazing humans, Dr. Jeff Pierce and Ed Hard. And I've had the opportunity to work with both of these gentlemen for quite a while. Ed Hart is coming to us. I was a colleague of May's, actually, when they were both at the City of Phoenix for several years. And so we were able to snatch him up, and he's with Government Leadership Solutions with GLS now. And oh, I'm so excited for you all to be a part of his workshops as well. And Dr. Jeff Pierce, interesting fella. He is formerly with the Phoenix Police Department. And so he brings such a cool perspective to his leadership development workshops and curriculum. And I know, Todd, you've seen the curriculum and you're
Yep.
really excited
Yep. I
about it.
am excited.
And he's got some fun activities planned, and he's going to be facilitating the trust and ethics. And then May is going to be facilitating the high performing teams. So we're just so excited about this experience, and I cannot wait for y'all to experience Dr. Pearson and Ed Hart as well, and to see May and Trish again.
That's
It's
right.
gonna be
Yeah.
fun, really fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And so that really kind of sets the groundwork of what you kind of will get a feel for from an experience perspective. But this year we've also added additional virtual sessions. And I just want to, kind of, these are all on the website, but just to give you an idea, when I did the study, we got the main themes, which you saw in, trust and performing teams and stuff. So we built those out as a workshop. But there were underlying tones as well that were connected and weaved into those. But we wanted to pull them out and because they were important and were requested by our member leaders as something that they were faced with. So we added those in. So, on top of those 2.5 days, there's 5 I got that right?
Yeah, 5.
Five,
Yeah.
5 virtual sessions. They're 90-minute sessions that will happen. One will kick off on January 28th. And you can see the topics here, but then we'll do one, every couple weeks. In March we'll have 2, and then we'll kind of do 2 more in April, because we want that experience to continue, right? We want the learning to
Definitely.
continue. And so these virtual sessions will be very targeted around specific topics, and some will continue on, from some of the things you learned at Summit, but others will be new, like procurement on the margins, right? How do you, if you're a small or mid-sized agency, how can you have an impact based on resources? So we're excited to be able to bring that information to you. And then, we mentioned all about the importance of building connections, right? Taking the time. We don't want to run you constantly from one class to the next. It will be busy, but we do want to take time and have fun. So we have a lot of fun built into the experience. Wednesday night, as everybody's kind of getting uh, to the hotel and getting settled in. Our Copper chapter, the local chapter, is offering a Dutch dining experience. We did this last year, Carrie, and it's an opportunity for people to get together in an informal manner at 3 restaurants and really just kind of share the experience, start the networking on Wednesday night. Thursday, Sip, Savor, and Showcase. This gets us outside. This is our reception night under the desert sky. Again, we're going to keep you outside. We'll have a dinner and an opportunity to network not only with your peers, but also our suppliers that support us and our leadership summit, as well as others. So it's an opportunity. There's about 16 to 20 suppliers that will be out there. And again, it's an informal setting. You'll be able to visit with them and interact. And then Friday night, I think, is great. We'll have another outside dinner experience, but we're also having a charity event come in. So you will be engaged in a leadership experience as you take a part in this exciting charity event. So we're bringing that new experience to Summit. And it's amazing how the time goes. I'm kind of speeding up a little bit because I want to make sure we have enough time to answer everything. But Carrie, from a logistics standpoint, anything, we have some of the key logistics here, but you want to kind of touch base on some of these?
Yeah, so we've already talked about we're at the beautiful El Conquistador in Tucson. Tucson International is the closest airport to fly to. It's about a 30-minute drive to the resort from the airport. There has been some talk that Saturday flights out of Tucson may be a little bit challenging. So Phoenix is another option. It's about a 2-hour drive if you're coming with colleagues or want to look at that alternative as well. But it's really important for you all to know that you should arrive on Wednesday sometime. We'll have registration open. You can pick up your badge and materials, and then we hit the ground running Thursday morning, and we really want you to stay for the full experience through about noon on Saturday. So plan accordingly. If you would like to extend your stay at the hotel, we do have the rate available pre and post event. We just need to coordinate that. If you're not able to make that reservation, you can reach out to a member of my team and we can help you with that. It's important to note, if you haven't registered, early bird registration is available through the end of November. So you have about a month. And then we kick into kind of standard rates to help. We have to make guarantees to the hotel early. So we want to make sure we have that information. So, that's really all I had. Todd did mention, the activities we have. I do want to thank Sourcewell for their support in the charity event. It's more of a team building exercise, but it also serves charity. It's a military activity. So as public servants, I think you all will really enjoy that. So I just wanted to give them that plug. And we're really excited about doing something different and being able to give back to the community while we're there.
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. And well, Carrie's on the webinar. If you have questions, please again, put them in chat. She she can answer pretty much everything. So that's where I end up going. So if you have questions, just chat away, because I really want to spend some time, or the remaining part of time is looking at, is impact right for you, right? That's why you came to this, is to kind of say, hey, I'm considering impact. Is it right for me? So I want to spend the remaining time and then be able to answer any questions. So I want to bring back Dr. Church, but I want to again introduce Katrina Panzini, right, to the group. And I think now, Jeff, I think we're all four on the screen, or at least a couple
Yes.
of us. Okay, great, thanks. So, I work with Katrina on a variety of committees, and I was hearing your story, Katrina, about your leadership journey, and I, asked if you would mind joining. So I just, can you spend a little bit of time? You were Edge in 2024, and then now you're moving on to Impact. But can you share a little bit of your journey and how you're kind of making the decision, or made the decision to go to Impact this year, just to kind of help people?
Cool. Yeah, so as Todd said, I graduated from the Edge program in 2024. So that started for me in November of 2023. My leadership journey has been, I would say, very fast streamed since about 2022. I'm kind of one of those people that's all in from the very beginning, and there's so much out there to learn. And I think when I started off with Edge, and I was very involved in my local chapter here in Central Florida, and I was very lucky that they disclose a lot of information both locally and through NIGP that I was able to grasp onto learning experiences that then kind of showed me there's so many programs and classes and things out there, and so siphoning through that all was a challenge. But when I found the Edge program, I went ahead and applied, and I had been on the board in my local chapter for a long time to get scholarship money, but of course it's definitely a financial responsibility. And so when I went to Edge, I was so pleasantly surprised with how intimate it was, even though you're in a cohort of 40 to 50 people. I mentor for my local chapter, and my mentee recently received a scholarship to Edge. And I was going through and we had our mentee meeting this morning. I was going through all of my old paper and, my personality tests, and I'm remembering that you're in this large group, and I'm telling her, you know what, though, it's such an intimate thing, and you learn so much about yourself as an emerging leader. So I was reminded again just how impactful Summit is, because it is that smaller experience. Now last year, and I'm a crazy volleyball mom, I was not able to go to Summit. I would have loved to have gone to Impact, but it wasn't scheduling available for me. So this year, when I found out it was in Arizona, which is, I was born and raised for 25 years. The fact that I get to go home is obviously very appealing. I'm from Phoenix, but and Dr. Church kind of mentioned it as well. It's the setting for me. It's a big thing. I was in Houston for Summit, and I've been to Forum, and a lot of the times they're in busy city settings, and being just south of Orlando, I'm used to that hustle and bustle. Being from Phoenix, I'm used to that hustle and bustle. So it's really exciting to be going to a place where, like everyone has said, we can take a breath and we can enjoy the surroundings, and we can deep dive into what I call the scarier areas of leadership. There's so much uncertainty around trust and around developing teams, and I'm just really, really excited for those deep dives. I'm kind of an introvert, but when it comes to my work, I tend to throw it all out there, because I'm always pleasantly reminded that I'm not the only one feeling the same thing, and I'm not the only one in the same boat. And so it's good to get that affirmation that, hey, you're not crazy, you're not alone. And you can have like-minded conversations with those that are battling the same challenges that you are as well. So I kind of mentioned like my journey since 2022. I went from getting my master's to 4 certifications to Edge to pushing me into more of a national volunteering where now I sit on 2 committees, and I've just kind of grabbed everything and anything I can. I am the supervisor of procurement services for a local school district, and I may never get to handle a lot of the things that those that work at cities or counties ever get to handle, but I want to learn about it because I don't know where I'm going to be tomorrow. I don't know where I'm going to be 2 years from now.
Yeah.
And so I've always just been one of those, like, there's never or how do I say it? There's always room for more information, and there's always room to grow, and everything that we have to handle day to day is ever changing. And so it's never not an opportunity to learn something new, I guess. So yeah.
And these are very portable skills, right? Like you said, you're going to take leadership skills wherever you go. But so thank you for that insight. And you made a comment, and so from a fellow introvert to what did you find the setting comfortable? Because as a intro, if you're in a bigger setting, sometimes it's kind of unsettling to chime in. Any thoughts when you brought that up? I'm
So
curious, any.
yeah, it's funny because I was going through, I think, my DISC assessment that I did through
Mhm.
Edge, and it gives you a graph that details your public self and your personal self. And it talks about your influencing side. And when I'm my personal self, my influencing side is like way down here. And when I'm in my public self, my influencing side is way up here. And so I think it goes to show that while I'm uncomfortable naturally to be in even a small group of people or a large group of people, I'm doing it for different reasons. And so like if I compare Forum to my experience with Summit 2 years ago, Summit's definitely a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
Everybody's really willing to have those longer, more deep conversations because they're there for the exact same reasons you are.
Yeah.
And
Great.
the cross functioning between Edge, so I was an Edge in 24. The conversations that I had with those mid to senior level people that were there for impact made a huge difference and made me say, okay, like I'll be ready for that one day, And so those conversations between cohorts were super important. And I've kept some of those connections to this day when I've got questions that are way over here, and they're above my head. So I know I've got connections, with past impact attendees as well.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And I did see a question pop up. Um, do you need to attend Edge before Impact? And no, it's not a stepped process like that. Um, so yeah, the short answer is no, you don't have to follow that process from Edge to it. We have that as our formal tracking, but we have a lot of people that haven't gone to Edge for a variety of reasons. And again, from a mid to senior level leader, Impact is really the space for you. Um, um, so you'll be fine in an Impact space. And I apologize. It is a little bit over time. I tell you, it just went fast. So I'm hoping, I want to be respectful of everybody's time. I can hang on and make sure we answer any of your questions, but um,
And Todd, I'm fine to hang on to answer
okay.
questions beyond time. Sure.
Yeah, so we'll stick around. Again, if you want to come off and mute, just simply raise your hand. We'll answer any questions that you have.
You're welcome, Helen.
And or enter it in chat. But hopefully this gave you a good view into Impact. And we hope to see you in February. So we'll hang out for a little bit and see if you have any any other questions?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Can't wait to see you in Tucson.
So now that quiet science.
Ah, Jennifer.
Jennifer. Yes, hello to everybody.
Yep.
Hi.
Hi. So I am, I'll say, 5 years now into procurement. So I'm just kind of gauging, I'm the person who just asked that question of the EDGE program prior to Impact. Clearly, EDGE was full once I came across this conference, and it looks so great to go to. I just want to make sure that it seems appropriate for me to look at the impact program. I'm not really sure. I mean, obviously I know the definition of a mid to senior leader. I just kind of am looking beyond that with an understanding of, is impact really a good program for me right now? From what I'm hearing everybody talk about, I think even just the networking would be great. I think just the conversation would be great. I would just like to, just hear a short version of what your answer would be to that question.
Sure. Katrina, Dr. Church, do you want to take
Yeah,
it?
Jennifer, you wanted, who in particular did you want to answer that question?
Oh, anybody.
Oh,
I'd be
okay.
interested in anybody's insight. I just want to make sure, I'm using funds appropriately.
Sure.
I'm not going to this for no reason. Not that I don't see that there'd be no reason. I just want to make sure it's appropriate at the level that I'm at.
Yeah. I certainly have a response to that, but would love to hear because really, Katrina, you've experienced both. So why don't you go first?
So I think when I started the EDGE program, I was about a year and a half in to in my supervisory role. And
Okay.
so that's why at that time it appealed to me more because I didn't feel like I was an established leader yet. I was learning about myself as a leader
Sure.
so much that edge and all of its components as far as learning more about self-awareness and empathy and all those things that I'm not a very emotional person that don't come naturally to me. That's what appealed to me there. So now that I'm about 3.5 years into my supervisory role, the topics and the things that happen in impact are more related to how I am now. So if I were to go back, and put myself in your shoes, I think it really is, are these topics totally outside of your realm? Or if you're saying, you said, you're looking forward, I think these topics can really apply to anybody.
Agree.
Whether you're mid to senior leader level or not, it doesn't mean that in 6 months, these won't be completely in your wheelhouse. You have no idea.
Sure.
So I would say, even though the progression from edge to impact is the natural way it was built, I don't think there's any reason to go to impact and go to edge later either, because you're
Sure.
still learning a lot about who you are as a leader, depending on where you are at that time. And while impact makes sense now, maybe next year it doesn't make sense, or, depending on where you are. So, I definitely think it's a good opportunity for you to take advantage of if you relate to the topics, if they can be meaningful to where you are now in your leadership journey.
Yeah, I think you
Okay.
couldn't have said it better, Katrina. I think that's a
Yeah.
perfect. Yeah.
And what I would add is really what you alluded to, is just to highlight it, put an exclamation point on it, is that the leadership competencies as we continue in our careers, moving up the ladder, that we are looking to develop and fine tune and grow and deepen, are really life skills, right? They're
Sure.
really life competencies. And I continuously have people after the workshop say, not only is this going to help me as a leader, but it's just going to help me with my spouse, or it's going to help me with my
Right.
teenager. And so a lot of those skills and strategies are really just life skills too.
Very much appreciate the insight. Thank you.
You're very
Great
welcome.
question. Any other questions? Anybody else want to come in? It's helpful to come off mute, and I know we have about a handful of people still out there.
I think we must have just been very thorough, Todd.
Well, Jeff, I think that's about it. I think we've answered any questions. So again, appreciate all of you joining today, and hope to see you in February at the summit. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Thank you all.
everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
PowerPoint recording will be sent later this evening. Make it a great day, everyone.